Greetings and welcome. This is the New Thought Media Network. I'm Ken Ludwig, and you are watching the Vibrant Living Hour. Hope this day finds you safe, healthy, and happy, and living your best life, doing whatever it is you're doing, wherever you're doing it, that you're just absolutely enjoying yourself. A life filled with love, joy, and enthusiasm in every single activity and every endeavor of your existence. Interesting day today. Interesting time to be in the world. It's really, in so many ways, it's an immensely sad day because it's a sad day for the world. It's a sad day for all of us, just in the fact that we have an outbreak of war, a war of choice, a war of there is no real purpose that anyone can discern of this war. The Russians early this morning. In Europe, which would have been the middle of the night for us, actually would have been before midnight our time, I believe. The Russians invaded Ukraine. Crazy, just bizarre. And I think it's inherent upon each and every one of us, particularly those of us who are people of faith of any kind, whether you are like me, a metaphysician, or you are someone who is more attuned to the Judeo-Christian traditions, or a Buddhist, a Hindu, a Muslim. I don't care what your faith is. If you're a person of faith, it's time to sink into your prayer, into your contemplation. What is it that you can do to lift up the collective consciousness by lifting up your own around peace and harmony? You know, there's absolutely, without question or doubt, there is a study that I read last week. I don't think I still have the information nearby, but you know, every cell of your body emits light. And when you meditate from your heart around the idea of love and peace, the light emitted by the cells of your body increases 5,000-fold. That's a lot. So time to meditate, time to pray, time to think in terms of what we can do to help. What is ours to be and do? You know, back in 1968, 54 years ago, Walter Cronkite famously said about Vietnam, which was just really Vietnam in May of 68. If my memory is anywhere near correct. Hi, Anna, I'm so glad you're joining me today. Just thrilled to always see you present. But on May 25th, 1968, the Vietnam War was just really starting to get very, very, very serious. And Walter Cronkite had been in Vietnam several months earlier on the ground. You know, back in the days when actual reporters went out into the field with actual troops and ducked gunfire as opposed to never mind, who cares what they do now. But Walter famously said, war itself is, of course, a form of madness. It's hardly a civilized pursuit. It's amazing how we spend so much time inventing devices to kill each other and so little time working on how to achieve peace. And what's going on right now in Ukraine is just a perfect example of that. So much time spent inventing ways to harm each other, kill each other, annihilate each other, and so little time spent in actual means of keeping the peace. But in this particular instance, I think, and I don't want to make a big political commentary here, but I think it's important to recognize, as a metaphysician, I don't recognize a devil. I don't recognize capital E evil, if you will. There's no Satan in my cosmology, but I do recognize small e evil, people of maleficent intent, and Vladimir Putin would be one of those people, without question. And there's really no one of any consequence on the planet who agrees with what he just did, with one exception, the totally demented, twice impeached, totally disgraced human that occupied the White House from 2017 to 2021. He thinks Putin's a genius and he's really savvy and what he's doing is brilliant. And that's just, that speaks volumes about that person in and of who he is. But it's just wrong what's going on here. This is a violation of every international law that is. It is something that everyone gets. This is an invasion of a sovereign country. And I think it's important for all of us to just reach into our consciousness and lift ourselves up to a higher level, to lift ourselves up to love the Ukrainian people and love the Russian people. The Russian people do not seem to be particularly in favor of this, and lift up the whatever God awful number of troops are going to be involved in this whole thing. Is well over 500,000 troops involved in this from both sides. And God only knows how many Ukrainian civilians. Lift ourselves up in prayer to a higher mind, to a higher consciousness. Back in 2016, there was a study done that was that showed that when 1% of the population of a particular town, city, area was engaged in transcendental meditation, just simple transcendental meditation or transcendental, the city program, the SIDHI. I'm vaguely familiar with that. I've been practicing transcendental meditation since 1978, but the city program I'm just really not familiar with. But people who practice those two particular disciplines of meditation helped to drop the FBI's whatever they call it, the number one, the most serious crimes. The most serious crimes. They helped to drop the rate of the most serious crimes in those particular areas by 20% or better. That's a phenomenal number. There was a study done later on in 2010, completed in 2010, I think, that backed that up big time. Those were peer-reviewed studies, and the peer-reviewed studies seem to indicate something that we as metaphysicians already know, that the raising of individual consciousness seemed to be connected to a field of consciousness, what we would call universal consciousness or universal mind, that there is a connection. We are all connected. Surprise, that we are all one. And that when we have a practice of meditation or a group of people practicing meditation, what we do is lift the consciousness above a collective societal anxiety. And that helps to reduce crime rates. And it's proven. It's study after study after study. And if you want to go look that up, please go look it up. If you're somebody who's thinking in terms of, I would like to learn to meditate, here's a good reason for you to meditate, because you can create peace in your world, in your environment, at the very least, by a meditative practice. And I remember I think I mentioned this last week on the show. There was a study done once where somebody actually extrapolated the numbers. And they said that 1% of the square root of a population can affect, that's the wrong way. It's the square root of 1% of the population. That's it. The square root of 1% of the population can lift up the consciousness of the population to a more harmonious level. So in other words, what you say is if you get 10,000 people, 1% of 10,000 is 100 people. The square root of that is 10. If you had 10 people meditating on a daily basis, you would lift the collective consciousness of 10,000 people. There's another study. One of these days, I'll look that study up because I distinctly remember the numbers and how they expressed it. But I think it's important to look at those things, to look them up and know for a fact that that's what it was all about. By the way, I can see you're out there watching the show. If you're watching, please drop a comment or a question or just say hi in the comments. I would be so appreciative of that. If you've got anything to add to this thing. But once again, I don't want to dwell on it. I don't want to spend the entire show on this, but time for us all to be in meditation and prayer around the well-being of the people of Ukraine and the Russian people as well. Even Putin, to lift them up into a higher level, to a higher mind, to a higher consciousness, and see if we can get the world back into peace before this gets too crazy or gets completely out of hand. This is a really, really, really dangerous situation. And there are people out there who are in the know of these things. I don't know who the hell they are, and I don't know how they're in the know, but I just heard something a couple hours ago that in some people's eyes in Russia, their president is acting irrationally. And I heard one comment this morning that from every level, economically, politically, every level you can look at, that this activity is really not in Russia's best interest. In fact, it might be very much against their best interest. So do with that what you will. If you can bring yourself to pray, if you can bring yourself to meditate, or just close your eyes and concentrate a higher mind on peace and harmony in the world, we'll do what we can to make things better. So a couple of things here I had, just interesting tidbits today. I'm reading a book called Think Like a Monk by a man named Jay Shetty. Jay Shetty was in 2017. He was one of those 30 people under 30 to keep an eye on. So he's a young guy, and he wrote this great book. And it's interesting because there's a piece in the middle of it on purpose. And if you've been listening to the show at all, you know that it's one of those things that I wrestle with. What is my purpose? My purpose, I come to understand, is just absolutely to be a beneficial presence on the planet. That's what I'm here to do. That's a pretty broad and almost grandiose sounding purpose, but there's different ways to express that. And I'll actually connect that to part of my life here later in the show. But so I read this thing on purpose, and it's in the middle of the book. And I rarely start something in the middle of the book, but my wife said, this is really good and you really enjoy this. So I read it. And it was really good, and I really did enjoy it. And then there's a section after that, the one on purpose, which is on, oh my goodness gracious me, I forgot. That's really funny. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's the chapter after purpose. And there's a piece in there about creating time. And this is something I've talked about for a good deal of my life. When we talked about meditation a minute ago, I learned Transcendental Meditation in 1978. So I've been meditating for well over 40 years, whatever it is now, 46 years at this point. Wow. And I've tried all different kinds of meditation, but I wind up coming back to my Transcendental Meditation. Just seems to have always been something that works for me. And I have always talked about the idea that when people say I haven't got time to meditate, I've always said the truth is that once you learn to meditate, you'll recognize that you don't have time not to meditate. Meditation is hugely important to just quiet the mind, to build up a sense of resiliency to the vicissitudes of life, to make us feel energized and alive, to make us feel positive and confident in who we are and what we're doing, and to just bring in the energy of the universe into our personal space at a conscious level, even as we seek to quiet the mind, still maintaining consciousness, attachment, a connection to consciousness, if you will, not attachment, connection. And in this book, Jay Shetty talks in terms of creating time in the morning. And I think that's when you have to create the time. As I said about meditation, if getting in meditation means you get up 15, 20 minutes earlier, it will make a difference in your life. Whoops, we forgot to turn off our phone. The time in the morning is well spent for your peace of mind, for creating your day, for visualizing on what it is you wish to accomplish in the day, for visualizing how you want to show up, what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. All of those things are possible during meditation time. And Jay Shetty talks in terms of creating that time in the morning, and he lays out a little pathway, a little routine, if you will, around an acronym for the word time. All right. The T standing for Thanksgiving. Take a moment in the morning, first thing every single day, to be grateful. Be grateful for everything you have. Give thanks for everything that is good in your life. To give thanks for the knowledge that you create your life through your thoughts. We, each and every one of us, make the life we want through our thoughts and our vibration with those thoughts. Where are we with that? I'm almost daily, I come to the conclusion that I am so completely out of whack with where my vibration should be so that I am manifesting the life I desire. I need to do more. I need to up-level my practice so that I am accomplishing the things I wish to accomplish with who I am and how I'm showing up and how am I being a beneficial presence in the world. So take a moment. First, the T in time is Thanksgiving. The second one is insight. And insight is really a very broad thing. In Jay Shetty's view, he talks in terms of read something, even if it's the news, something that increases your knowledge, your awareness, a book, affirmations, read a prayer, read, newspaper, blogs, read something that will up-level your knowledge. The next one, the M, is for meditation, which is find a meditative practice. And I can't emphasize that enough. And by the way, if you're someone who is looking for a meditative practice or would like some help with a meditative practice, please find me. I always post this at the end of the show, but let me just post it right now so you have it. If you want to, just email me, teamrocketnow@gmail.com. Send me an email, and I'll be glad to help you or point you in the direction of getting a meditative practice going or finding the right meditation for you. teamrocketnow@gmail.com. Try it out. Let's take that down for now. We'll get back to it later. By the way, once again, if you're out there watching the show, please drop me a comment, drop me a question, whatever. Just say hi, whatever it is. The E in time is exercise. And exercise can be any number of things. You don't have to, when we say exercise, it doesn't mean you're going to spend an hour and a half on the treadmill or the elliptical or the rowing machine, whatever it is, or running, doing those things. You don't have to do that. Exercise can look like lots of things. It can look like just really intentional stretching. It can look like yoga. It can look like actual exercise, aerobic exercise or anaerobic exercise, weightlifting, resistance training. But move your body. And that is what he suggests you do with time in the morning. Create the time. Now, that sounds like a lot, right? You're talking about Thanksgiving, insight, meditation, and exercise. Might sound like a lot, but the truth is you can accomplish all that in less than 30 minutes. Get up 30 minutes early and do those things before you even get started. I'll give you one more hint. When you do the Thanksgiving piece, I like to do the Thanksgiving piece before my feet hit the floor, before I get out of bed in the morning. I also do, because I've been experiencing this degenerative disc disease in my back, I have been doing a lot of stretching in the morning before I get out of bed. But you could do those things, whatever the timeline works for you, but I do those things before my feet hit the floor in the morning. Another piece that is that I find very fascinating with this, that was part of the same section in the book, is the idea that the attitude or the emotion that you fall asleep with is very likely going to be similar to the emotion you wake up with. So if you go to bed stressed out, if you go to bed thinking about everything you have to do in the morning, you're going to wake up immediately going into yesterday, going into your past and living from that point of view of, oh, these are the things I have to do that I conjured up yesterday. And it's really those things, all of those thoughts have already happened. That's your past. So what you do from that point forward is all based on what you dragged forward with you from yesterday. So the idea of the emotion that you go to bed with is the emotion you're going to wake up with is adjusted really simply. And I did it last night for the first time, and I can't tell you how many years. That also is a meditation thing. I sat down last night before I went to bed and I meditated for 15 minutes. I'm sorry. That's all it takes. Stop. I must admit, I watched a little bit on my screen after I went to bed, but before I did that, I got ready for bed. Did the brush the teeth, got in the pajamas, the whole 9 yards, and I went out in the living room and I just sat and I meditated for 15 minutes. That meditation calmed my mind, and I'm going to tell you right here, right now, even though I went into my bed and watched a 20-minute video, I slept more rapidly. I fell asleep, and I slept more soundly than would be normal, and it felt really good. So I'll do it again tonight. And I all of the great meditation teachers in the world have always talked in terms of twice a day. 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes at night is the one they always talk about as being the ideal. I don't know, but I do know in the periods of my life when I have meditated twice a day, I really have built up that sense of resilience, that sense of just being in a better space. So there's something there to help you go to bed from a better emotional point of view. It's a great time actually also to visualize what it is you want your day to look like tomorrow. And that includes everything, man. What is it? My beloved Lisa and I are house hunting. What do I want tomorrow's house hunting to look like? What do I want this podcast to look like? What do I want to do tomorrow? And I do that in my meditation as opposed to taking it into, I got to remember this, I got to remember that, blah, blah, blah. Take it into meditation, write down the things you want to do, release them, let them go, and you don't have to worry about them. You don't have to think about them. And then when you wake up in the morning, you can be lit up by the exuberance of the emotion you went to bed with from visualizing how perfect everything was going to be today, as opposed to, oh my God, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do the other thing. Another thought there. These are random thoughts, by the way, today. Just like that's different from every other show, right? Time for a swig. My hemp-infused coffee. I'm going to talk about this coffee here a little bit later on. There is in here, and now it's really funny. So you get to be a certain age, and you have to adjust the lighting here to do the show, and it's not the greatest lighting for reading, and I can't read everything that I would like to read. So we have the old magnifier comes out, and the thing I really wanted to remember here that I pronounced correctly was chaga mushrooms. There are also chaga mushrooms in this coffee, and chaga mushrooms have an incredible amount of health benefits. But we'll talk about that in a while. Just by chance, the last several weeks, maybe a month or more, I have in my business group, which is I occupy the network marketing space. It's all around health and wellness and living your best life, basically through making sure that you're putting the best possible nutrition in your body. But I have in network marketing, 80 to 85% of network marketers are women. So it's an interesting space for a guy. It's an interesting space for me to occupy. But I love it, and I love the people I work with, and they're all fabulous human beings, and they're all by nature, most of them. If 80 to 85% of women, then 90% of those women are younger than me. Okay, so I have 3 women in my group, 3 women that I actually know pretty well, 3 women who actually I'm friends with. One of them is in her 30s, one of them is in her 40s, one of them is in her 50s, and each of them recently, and I'm going to say at the first of the year or since the first of the year, decided to take a break from alcohol. And they stopped drinking. None of them say they had any kind of a drinking problem. They just thought that alcohol maybe was interfering with their focus, their sleep. And trust me when I tell you, alcohol interferes with your sleep big time. It screws with your sleep monumentally. It's another story altogether. But they decided to take a break. And all three of them had the exact same experience of a sense of mental clarity, more energy, and just feeling better. Now, you can look at all the studies you want that tell you that 2 glasses of wine a night or a glass of wine a night is good for you and blah, 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 because there's especially red wine, there's resveratrol in there from the grapes, and there's all these health benefits. BS, as far as I'm concerned. You can get resveratrol from lots and lots of other sources without having to include alcohol. But I find it really interesting. Those of you who know me know I've been sober for over 33 years. And I did my share. And in 25 years, I did more drinking than most people do in 2 lifetimes, but and more drugs. And that's how I got to where I am now. Not in spite of that, but because of that, it helped me to grow into the person I have become and am becoming. And I'm not exactly disappointed in any of that. I'm pretty pleased with who I'm becoming in this life. But I find it fascinating that people who give up alcohol for a short period of time without actually having an alcohol problem are finding the same benefits that I found years ago when I quit with a real problem. But the mental clarity and just being more focused and being able to perform better. I also think that the alcohol tends to make people look older. And if you look at people who have been drinking for drinking considerable amounts for long periods of time, you can just see in their face that they just look older. But anyway, I thought that was really, really, really fascinating that these three ladies that I know are experiencing that, and that they've put the alcohol aside. Do with that whatever you want. I mentioned a little bit ago that I finally came to the conclusion that my purpose on this planet is to be a beneficial presence. And my dear friend Larry Widhelm, who's actually watching the show right now, Larry made a suggestion to me. He said, part of your being a beneficial presence on the planet is actually what you do for a living. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. I mean, some of you know that the sponsor of my show is one of the companies that I represent. It's called Hempworx. It is a company that does all kinds of CBD and hemp-infused products, everything from the coffee that I drink to during the show, to the CBD tinctures that I use every day, and to many, many other products, hair care products, skincare products, topicals, just the greatest line, even pet stuff, a bacon-flavored CBD oil for your pets, and a dog treat with CBD in it for your doggies. Because dogs and cats and all mammals, just like people, have an endocannabinoid system, so that there are actually receptors on every cell of their body for CBD and other cannabinoids. So I use the CBD tinctures. All right. The white top here, it's funny with the mirror image, I get so screwed up. The white cap is a broad spectrum CBD. Broad spectrum very simply means that it has no THC. Zero, nada, zero. There is THC is tetrahydrocannabinol. That is the ingredient that gives you a buzz. It gets you high. Okay. That's what stoners love, is the THC. There's none of that in broad spectrum CBD. So if you're someone who takes a very serious drug test, or in very rare cases, there's an allergy to THC, this particular product will help you give your body an opportunity for homeostasis. Homeostasis is balance. CBD promotes homeostasis. It promotes balance in your body. And again, there are receptors on virtually every single cell of your body for this. And it is an amazing stress reliever. It helps with sleep without question, and can be a great pain reliever depending on the pain, depending on the person. I have had tremendous experience with CBD and nerve pain for sciatica, which I've gotten to a point is almost non-existent anymore. Now, the black lid and stopper, and I still one day I'll learn to turn it the right way first. This is full spectrum CBD. Full spectrum CBD has 0.3% or less of THC. And that's just, I mean, it's an infinitesimally, if you will, small amount. There's no way you can drink a 5-gallon bucket of this and you're not going to get high. But there is some evidence that the additional cannabinoid of adding THC to CBD, CBD is cannabidiol, and as I said, THC is tetrahydrocannabinol. There are over 100 cannabinoids in the cannabis plant, but the addition of THC seems to be a benefit in some instances for some people. So you can use that with the 0.3% or less. But also I want, the coffee that I drink here, and I only drink afternoon coffee. I drink it on Thursday for the show, but I usually maybe drink it one other time a week. I drink my coffee in the morning. I'm kind of a coffee snob. I grind my own beans. And what I've done is learn to mix a half a cup basically of my ground beans with my straw stick. I think you call these a straw stick. I'm not sure what they are, but these little babies here of my CBD infused coffee that are also, as I mentioned earlier, filled with chaga mushrooms. Chaga mushrooms, just look it up. CHAGA. Chaga mushrooms have immense benefits for the human body. The other thing is that this one that I have mentioned before, this is Relief Cream. This is a CBD and CBG infused cream. We call it Relief. I think they refer to it as a cooling cream to avoid any FTC baloney around making medical claims, blah, blah, blah. The truth of the matter is the stuff is amazing for joint pain, muscle pain. My story is my first order of these products from Hempworx in February of 2020. My first order, that the relief cream was in there. My knees were aching like crazy. I had just actually, coincidentally, 2 days before, done some leg lifts with weights that really, my knees were like, what were you thinking? And I got my first package. I opened the package. I took out the relief cream. I literally dropped my pants in the dining room, applied the relief cream to my knees, and the pain was gone before I finished applying it. So that's my testimonial. And the last one I'll show you today is my hemp hand and body lotion. I love this stuff. It's really, really thick, really creamy, and it's a great hand cream. Don't use hand cream as near as much since we moved here in North Carolina as I did in Colorado. But I also, this is just weird, okay? I get, my ankles get dried out from wearing socks in the wintertime. I don't know what the hell that's about, but I apply this every single morning after a shower, and it prevents my legs from getting dry and itchy. So, and I'm showing you all those products today, not as a sales pitch, but because part of my purpose to be a beneficial presence on the planet is to provide the people that I know in the world, people I come in contact with, my customers, my affiliates, with the absolute very best health and nutritional products that I have found in my search and experimentation for things not only to use, but to represent. That's just one company. I mean, I represent 2 other companies, and the Hempworx brand, this is just one of 9 companies under the My Daily Choice umbrella. And as I've told you many, many times, if you want to know more about any of this stuff, you just simply go to, let me put the banner up for you. You can go to hempworx.com/Ken Ludwig. That'll give you direct access to my my hemp infused products. Or you can try, where's the other one here? Excuse me. You can go to the main website, which is mydailychoice.com, and you can see all the products. You can see all the 9 brands that are there, and check them out if that's something that interests you. If that's something that you would like to know more about. But it's about being, I'm here to be a beneficial presence, and part of that is I've managed to, just quite coincidentally, be able to fill in, if you will, part of that role with what I do for a living by providing people with great nutritional products at every level for your health, your wellness, and your well-being. So yeah, that's a piece I wanted you to know that. This past week, only 2 days ago, there's a young lady, and I forgot her real name. I think her first name was Jane. She went by the professional name of Nightbirde, Nightbirde. Look her up on the internet, Nightbirde. She was a young lady. She just made her transition this week at age 33. She came on America's Got Talent, and she was battling cancer when she came on. She was in maybe a shallow remission at the time. And she sang a beautiful song that, always a great risk on America's Got Talent or any of those kind of talent shows to sing an original song that you wrote. But she wrote a song called It's Okay. And it's about her journey of major illness, of chronic illness. And I don't remember, it may have been brain cancer. It doesn't really matter. Cancer sucks no matter what it is, no matter where it is, it sucks. And when it takes out a young person, it sucks even more. When it takes out a young, talented person, when this young lady was an incredibly bright light, please go look her up on the internet, Nightbirde, Nightbirde, and look up her song, It's Okay, and just play it and listen to it. And then listen to it again, and maybe listen to it a third time. It's beautiful. And if you've got problems, issues, bitches in the world, listen to this song and remember who this person was. And it's an uplifter for sure. But I remember she said this a long time ago, and it just came back to me after she passed the other day. You can't wait until life isn't hard anymore before you decide to be happy. Such a great commentary on the old Someday I'll deal, you know. I live on Someday I'll. Someday I'll be happy when I do this. Someday I'll be better. Someday I'll do this and blah, blah, blah. Someday, someday, someday. And it's always about when I get that new car, I'll be thrilled. When I get that new job, I'll be thrilled. When I have that new relationship, I'll be beyond happy. When I blah, blah, blah. It's all about life being better before I can be happy. And it's the ass opposite way around, man. Life gets better when you're happy. My beloved Lisa and I are going through some trying times right now with our house hunting and what we're just moving and literally taking our entire lives and leaving them 1,700 miles away and coming to someplace new. It's a trial and tribulation. Nothing compared to the challenges that young Nightbird went through. But I get through it because I'm a happy person. I get through it because I start every day with those affirmations I do before my feet hit the floor and the stretches I do. I am a person who looks at life, not necessarily a glass half empty or a glass half full, but knowing that the glass can always be filled back up. And it's from that perspective that we can enjoy our lives no matter what's going on. So again, Nightbird said, you can't wait until life isn't hard anymore before you decide to be happy. Key word to me is decide. Being happy is a decision you make. I get asked that all the time. You know, grocery store clerks say to me, why are you always so happy? My answer is it's a decision I make before I get out of bed in the morning. And it is. And it helps get through the day. It helps build up the neurotransmitters, the serotonin, the oxytocin in your body that make you just feel better. The anandamide, my favorite hormone. Anandamide is named after the Buddhist acolyte of Buddha, whose name was Ananda. Ananda literally means bliss. Anandamide is the bliss hormone. It makes you feel good. But you can't feel good first to express it. You have to make yourself feel good. It's not something that comes from outside. It's from in here. You decide to feel good. You decide to say the things, do the things, imagine the things that make you feel happy. So the last thing I got for you today is just an idea of we live in a world of go, 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 and do, and every single one of us is moving at a breakneck speed. There is a chronic sleep deprivation in this country. And I'm trying to get my necklace straight here. You might as well I should just give it up, right? It is what it is. And of course, I always reach the wrong side. Anyway, the idea is instead of that constant 24/7, 365 human doing, you're a human being. Slow down. Slow down. Embrace your brilliance. Embrace your beauty and your intelligence. Embrace how good things are right now, this moment. The other day I went for a walk. And I walk just for exercise purposes, really try to do a really rapid walk. And I was really kind of focusing my attention on being present in the moment, slowing down my mind and enjoying the walk. It was hard. It was hard because it's not what I'm used to. Because we're all used to that. What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? As opposed to being right here, right now. As Ram Dass said, be here now. Slow down, accept your brilliance and your beauty, your intelligence, how good things are right now. When you stop and realize that compared to the vast majority of people in the world, if you got a roof over your head, running water, a working refrigerator and a stove in your house, you're in better shape than an enormous number of people on this planet. Acknowledge that. Enjoy that. And don't worry about what you're going to do next to get more of that. Just enjoy what you have. Appreciate what you have. That's part of my journey here with this, with being, I joke with Lisa all the time that we're homeless. I mean, we're living in her sister's beautiful home here while her sister lives in her art studio 30 feet away in another building, in her other building on her property here. But I'm still homeless. 95% of my belongings are in a storage unit. I have what I need for business and what I need for clothes for the winter months. If we don't find a place to live before March or April, the clothing situation is going to get a little dicey. But I'm approaching everything from the standpoint of appreciating this, appreciating Amy, like my sister-in-law Amy's generosity, appreciating the home that we have to live in, appreciating the fact that we have a roof over our head, that we actually have a base of operations as opposed to having moved here from Colorado. Well, you know what? We never would have. But if we had moved here from Colorado in November with no place to stay, we'd have been screwed. Because the housing market is not exactly a piece of cake around here, as you can probably tell from my stories of looking for a house. Every day is a new opportunity to just appreciate what I have, appreciate what you have, appreciate life, appreciate your health, appreciate the health of your loved ones and your family. That's pretty much all I've got this week. That's it for me. As always, let's make sure you know all the stuff here, right? We have our little banners that we put out. So I already showed you the websites for Hempworx and for My Daily Choice. You can find me on Instagram at evolving_hippie, a name that I chose when a bunch of my teammates in my network marketing company gave me that name, basically. New Thought Media Network is a nonprofit organization. We thrive on your donations. Please take a minute, go to ntmedia.org, click on donate. Whatever, a couple of bucks, $5, $10, or 20, whatever you got, we're thrilled. Thank you so much. ntmedia.org and click on donate. Once again, find me at teamrockitnow@gmail.com. You can also find my beloved Lisa and I at our branded Facebook page, Vibrant Aging, which obviously goes right hand in hand with Vibrant Living. And I think that's going to do it for today's show. As always, I am incredibly grateful for the great gift of your time and your attention. I wish you all the love and blessings that the universe has to offer. And I hope you will come by and see me next Thursday. And until then, namaste.